Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss Nigel Farage's latest attempts to distance himself from the unpopularity of Donald Trump, this time related to his trade war. He suggested that Trump might be a chump and compared him to Liz Truss. I must confess I did not expect him to be this rude to his orange sugar daddy. That being said, as he's a huge fan of Liz Truss, maybe it's not quite the insult the rest of us would take it for. But first, for daily news and commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So Donald Trump, not exactly a people's favourite in Britain. Nigel Farage is a populist leader wanting to do well in elections coming up in just under 3 weeks. So his past uncritical praise of Donald Trump and to a lesser extent Vladimir Putin, bit of a problem for him, which he has been addressing of late. He has stopped praising Putin, for example, although he rarely goes as far as actually criticising him. But he has recently tried to denounce some of Trump's moves. He hinted that Trump was giving too much to Putin a few weeks ago. And as I said at the time, if you analysed his words carefully, the criticism not quite as strong as you might imagine. But where the trade war is concerned, actually Farage's criticism of Trump seems very real. Unexpectedly real. He has suggested that Trump, in pursuing his tariff trade policy, did, in his words, too much too soon, like Liz Truss with her mini budget. Now, the phrase too much too soon is definitely criticism. However, it is worth noting that this is again a case of Farage being wise after the event. Let us not forget when Kwasi Kwarteng stood up to announce Truss's mini budget to Parliament, Nigel Farage did not say, "Oh, this seems a bit too much too soon," did he? No. What did he actually say? He said, and I quote, "It's the best Conservative budget since 1986. This despite the fact the negative market reaction began before Kwasi Kwarteng had even sat his arse back down in the House of Commons. The best Conservative budget since 1986. So there he is, fanboying over both Thatcher and Truss at the same time. Thatcher, whose main skill was in delivering 2 recessions and somehow convincing Conservatives she was good with the economy. And Truss, who blew a hole in people's pension funds, becoming the shortest serving Prime Minister in British history, and by some margin, and attempting to resurrect her reputation by blaming everyone else for her cack-handed policies. So Farage praising both Truss and Trump for their economic policies before the inevitable market meltdown, which he should have known about. He's a former trader, isn't he? That should tell you that maybe you don't really want Farage running our economy, especially as his statement makes it abundantly clear that he opposed neither Truss's nor Trump's trade policies, only the speed with which they implemented them. And he only said that after the event, not at the time. He didn't say, "Oh, the markets aren't going to like this. It's too much too soon." No, he's only said it after it's obvious to bleeding everyone. This means that Farage is still in favour of the tax cuts for the rich. And he is in favour of the unjustified tariffs on British exports. His criticism of Trump's trade policy is pure, and he said this, it's about the reaction to the markets. It's that market reaction, the fact that the stock and bond markets crashed. He said he'd never seen anything like it. And indeed, it's been described in America as the worst act of self-harm by any advanced economy. I think it is worse than Brexit. Before that, it was Brexit, wasn't it? It's worse than Brexit for America and for the world. But Trump's criticism is related to that stock market crash. The stock market crash was not caused because Trump applied 10% tariffs to Britain. He could have applied 10% tariffs to Britain and the stock markets would have gone, "Oh, that's a shame." It's because he massively hit Southeast Asian countries, mostly. That's what caused that crash. So Farage, by criticising the policy because of the market reaction, is saying he's cool with the idea of America attacking the trading relationship with Britain. He's absolutely fine with that. His concern is for Vietnam and Cambodia, basically. You know, if the stock markets and the bond markets didn't fall like they did, he's absolutely fine with the hit to British jobs and trade. That's what he's saying. He's also upset that Trump may be strengthening China. He said he did not know who would win between China and the USA. And indeed, I don't think anyone does. But it's unusual for Farage to say such a thing where he normally blindly and uncritically cheers the what's it of rage in the White House. I wonder if this is just for the pre-election period, because we are in 3 weeks from elections. Or does Farage see the danger that I talked about months ago, that Trumpism, now that it was going to be a real thing, unleashed on America and the world could make Trump and anyone associated with him about as popular as dysentery. See, part of the equation could also be what Farage gets in return from his relationship with Trump and his team. Sure, he gets the odd paid speaking gig from some MAGA groups in America, and that's quite lucrative, sure. But he's been trying and failing for years to really break through there. I've said before, his problem is, as I see it, he's trying to make a name for himself amongst a group of xenophobes. It works in Britain because he's British. Doesn't work in America because he's British. Actually, some MAGA, when they were asked last year, thought he was from the Middle East because of his name. It's hilarious. I know his name's of Hungarian origin, but MAGA not up on these things. And Farage, when talking on LBC about this, said he was asked by Nick Ferrari, fellow gammon, if Trump emerges as a chump or a champion over this trade policy. Now, can you believe that Farage said, ooh, it remains to be seen. Farage has left the door open to refer to Trump as a chump. I mean, when he was pretending to criticise Trump over his dealings with Russia, that's what it was. It was pretending, right? He didn't actually criticise Trump in reality. He just nudged and winked that maybe Trump wasn't getting it quite right, but maybe he is. Here we have actual criticism of the way. Trump has definitely made an error. The way Trump has carried out this trade policy is definitely wrong, according to Farage. And it could make Trump look like a chump. And if the reason is because Farage recognises just how unpopular Trump is making himself in Britain, that gives me hope. I've said before, I see one major attack line against Reform UK's populism being the impact of MAGA. People know that Farage is a huge supporter of Trump and MAGA, despite what he may now be saying. If people can see just how empty Trump's promises were, how they make life worse, not better for ordinary people, then we need to amplify that like hell in Britain, because Farage's the main advantage of any populist, right, is they've not been tested. So as far as people are concerned, oh, we could give now, because that's what a lot of voters who are saying they'll vote for Reform UK now. They're not going, oh yeah, it's like with Brexit. It's not, we think this will definitely be better. It's like, well, why not we give it a chance? Because they're in that position where they know the Tories have failed, 14 years, can't mistake it. Labour haven't improved things quickly enough as far as people are concerned. They think it should be quicker. So they're going, well, Tories not working, Labour not working. Let's give them a chance. That's what it's about. Not, oh yeah, Reform UK. Oh, this totally makes sense. This is the way to do it. It's give them a chance. So it's like that unknown. It's like gambling on the unknown because the two knowns you don't think are working. But we can look at America. We can say what Trump is doing in America is exactly what Farage wanted Brexit to do in Britain. You know, when he talks about Brexit being a disaster because the Conservatives didn't do it right. This is what he means. They didn't do Trumpism. Vote Farage, get Trump. That needs to be the refrain. Because I can think of no reason why Farage would be this explicitly critical of Trump, other than he's getting this strong impression that an association with Trump right now is politically harmful. We've gone from Richard Tice just a couple of weeks ago and saying, oh, he'd give Trump 11 out of 10 for his performance so far, to Nigel Farage now saying, yeah, Trump might actually be a chump. What times we live in. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.